Hello and welcome to another episode of Put Me in Coach on episode 43, Diamondbacks versus Rockies, Game 1. Lineup of today is pretty much of the same, I think. I'm thinking Jose Fernandez is actually the DH today and stuff, and I think that's pretty much it and stuff. Um, the only person who didn't really get a base hit was Kenta Marte because he went 0 for 5 and stuff. He got a little frustrated a little bit at his last bat and stuff. Totally understand that. Can't get a hit off of I wouldn't, it's so hard. I don't want to disrespect the Rockies that much and stuff. Like, I totally understand. They're a pretty bad team. They're very low. They don't have, I don't know what's the word, nostalgic to their team in a way and stuff. But offense is doing good for the rest and stuff. Pretty much everybody got a base hit and stuff. Nolan Arenado, fortunately enough, he went 1 for 1, but 4 walks today. That's pretty huge. I think that's like the first time he ever done that and stuff, so that's pretty good for him. Vargas went 4 for 4 and stuff, so that's huge of enough. But the rest basically got one base hit. Corbin Carroll and I think Gabe Marino also got 2 base hits, and so the rest got 1. So, love seeing the offense alive a little bit and stuff. I get Marte can't of it. I wanted it kind of in a way of we were very close. I think Jose Fernandez was the last bat in the ninth inning and stuff. So I want to see Ryan Wolfsman again, and then fortunately Kenta Marte just get like another base hit out there, so the whole team would get a base hit, so he wouldn't be a laugh out of a person and stuff. So, but fortunately that didn't really happen and stuff. But that's what it is and stuff. Top of the ninth. When Lourdes Gurriel Jr. hit a base hit at first base. Bases got a single, and so Tim Tawa came in to pitch run for Lourdes Gurriel Jr. at first base and stuff. And then later on in bottom of the ninth, Tim Tawa replaced Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in left field. So that's pretty much of that on offense and defense. Pitching wise of enough, Morel Kelly starting today and stuff. He went all 9 innings, so it's pretty crazy of that. Gave up 4 hits, struck out 3, no walks, no run, 1 run, I meant to say, and so really good performance from Kelly and stuff. I totally get it enough of like the Rockies offense just not really very well taken of showing their talent and stuff. They have good players, but I guess the Diamondbacks are just a better team over the Rockies. Kyle Freeland, their ace for their team, for the Rockies, he did okay and stuff. He went 4 innings, gave up 8 hits, struck out 3, walked 4, and gave up 7 runs. Fortunately enough, 7 runs is not really that good or anything and stuff, but it's hard to be the best on the team, especially the ace. I specifically, was really harsh on Gallen because he was our ace and he was doing really good and stuff. So it just shows enough of like not all pitchers not gonna do good or anything and stuff. So that's just another thing of it. I thinking Kyle Freeland makes sense enough. He is the ace for the team, or maybe not. I'm not 100% sure on that. And so there could be like another pitcher is really good on this team as well as the starting pitcher for the Rockies. But currently, what I know and stuff. He's still a good pitcher overall, but it's just it's hard to have a compete of enough of your team doesn't have your back and stuff, and yeah, it's hard for the Rockies and stuff. And then obviously enough, we don't have no bullpen because nobody didn't come in bullpen. Kelly pitched the whole game. Scoring right now, I'm honestly enough, I'm gonna talk everything. I think and I deleted one thing and stuff. So fortunately, I didn't really talk all score, but just letting you know enough of I didn't really round it down. There's a lot, fortunately enough, because Diamondbacks scored a lot and stuff. But I finally at the end, there's a little like oof in it and stuff. So that's where like I skipped a number. So just clarification of what is doesn't make no sense of it at the very end and stuff. I will probably talk about it, but I didn't really I did typed it, but I deleted it because again it's not worthy to basically talk about, but I will talk about it in some ways and stuff. But yeah, starting off enough, Vargas hit a RBI single to make it 1-0, top of the first. Gabe Marino hit a 2 RBI single to make it 3-0, top of the first. Jose Fernandez with a RBI double to make it 4-0, top of the first. And Ryan Swolsmith 2 RBI single to make it 6-0, top of the first. So it's basically crazy enough of the Diamondbacks start. Diamondbacks got 6 runs in the first inning. That's kind of crazy enough. I feel bad for Freeland in a way and stuff. Hunter Goodman hit a solo home run to make it 1-6, bottom of the first. That's the only run Kelly gave up, and that's the only run the Rockies got. So that's pretty much of that. Goodwin is pretty much the best player on the team and stuff. So he's showing his numbers up there for the Rockies. And then Vargas hit a RBI single to make it 7-1, top of the fourth. And then Gabe Marino hit a RBI double to make it 9-1, top of the seventh. And then Morel Kelly getting his first career complete game specifically at 100 pitches. Pretty good for him and stuff. It was kind of like similar where enough of with Eduardo Rodriguez. I forgot what team it was. Maybe it was the Mets. But I just know like they want to keep going and stuff. He did win the ninth, but fortunately it just didn't end it in a way and stuff. That's why like Juan Morello came in, after for Rodriguez and stuff. But this time enough, Kelly ended it and stuff. There was a little conversation with Rilavello and Kelly in the dugout to know enough of like, hey, like, let's see what this is gonna do or whatever and stuff. If I would do, I would just tell Kelly, like, are you comfortable? Like, are you not stressed? Like, it's so simple enough of like the Rockies just keep hitting like right away the first, pitch they ever seen and stuff, and fortunately enough, just easy ground balls for the Diamondbacks to get the Rockies out pretty easy and stuff. So it's kind of crazy to think about those typical things here and there and stuff. So I'm not saying enough Kelly had a like easy target against the Rockies or anything, but Rockies did make it a little bit easy for Kelly to get to this point and stuff. So, but fortunately enough, gotta see these typical things and stuff. I feel like Kelly wants to keep going out there, complete the game, and that's what he did. But you gotta understand about the managers in a way where enough of like, make it easy for the pitchers. You want to make your pitcher be safe. Don't want to injure themselves. Don't go overboard in a way and stuff. You want them to rest in a way and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to do the same thing if Lavello in a way. Just depends enough it. If it's like if the Rockies didn't score anything and he's doing good and stuff, I would send him out there just having like a shutout in a way, but fortunately enough, it was not really a shutout in any ways and stuff. He only gave up 4 hits, so it's still pretty good for him to go out there and stuff. But I would ease a little off. Just depends enough of what's going on. Also enough, it was in Coors Field. Not really giving like no respect enough for the Rockies and stuff. If it was in Chase Field, I would do it just because for the fans and anything. Get the hype going and stuff. Like I totally understand for Rodriguez did the same thing because that was in Chase Field. Fortunately enough, the fans booed at Lovello by taking Rodriguez out in the ninth inning because he didn't end it and stuff. So I totally understand the fans want the pitcher to keep going and end it in a way to see a complete game for Rodriguez, but fortunately that just didn't happen. So again, I see enough why Lovello did it for Kelly today and stuff. It makes sense, of it. But just having some respect for the Rockies in a way and stuff. And just do it just for Chase Field and for the fans and stuff. Just more hype for it and stuff. In a way of enough, yeah. But if it would be Chase Field, I would do it for Kelly. But if I would take over, I would probably just put a bullpen come in the 8th and the ninth and just let it slide from there and stuff. So that's pretty much of that. The Diamondbacks won it 9-1. Our record now is 21-22. We are now one low of 500, so that's pretty good for that. I get it. We were against the Rockies. If you want me to talk about the one I deleted and stuff, it's pretty much of Lourdes Guerrero Jr. hit a sac fly. Actually, no, that's not true. Somebody got a sac fly. I forgot who it was, but it was basically a sac fly. So that's why it was useful. So that, fortunately enough, it went 7-1 and then went to 9-1. How enough of Gabe Moreno got an RBI double to make it 9-1 to top of the 7th, where enough of Vargas hit a RBI single to make it 7-1 top of the 4th. So fortunately enough, there was 2 runs in the 7th and stuff, but one of them was just a sac fly to take another run in there and stuff. So that's why you have enough that didn't cross my mind enough to literally just delete it because sac flies are just those are annoying thing enough. I like to see singles and doubles and triples and home runs and stuff. So that's what I would do and stuff. That's why I talked about it and stuff, just to make sure enough of we're on the same task and stuff, and don't look confused enough of just what, this looks confused. Why I went to 7-9? Yeah, it's weird. So I apologize for that. Progress. Basically enough. I love to see the offense. To me enough. I get about we were against the Rockies. It was easy and stuff because they're not really showing a lot of them with the offense and defense. Still of enough. They have good defense, good offense and stuff. It's still a good team. It's just I feel like we're a better team and we have better talents on our team, so they're just showing that and stuff. If the Rockies want to show enough of they can win, they gotta show it to it and stuff, and the Diamondbacks just did it today and stuff, and the Rockies can't. So that's where enough of it's just there's something wrong with the Rockies in a way. They cannot really perform really good baseball and stuff, and that's a really issue for the Rockies a lot and stuff. So not really trying to be so harsh on the Rockies because of how bad they are and stuff. I got my boy Jake McCarthy over there and stuff, so I'm trying to really, really respect the Rockies in a good way than just being so harsh on them because they're a bad team in a way. So I don't want to do that. It's just feels so wrong just to say of enough of it. If it was the Rangers, I would absolutely do it because they're a freaking trash team and stuff. they also lost a game yesterday or some way enough. I know they got another loss, and so that's the way of enough of it. If I'm going to trash a team that took a World Series away from me, I would absolutely do it. I would do it for the Astros. I would do it for a team. I would not care about it. And so, but the Rockies, like, they're innocent. Like, I get it, like, they're not performing the way they wanted to be and stuff. It's hard to be with that organization, to be very low to the team, having not really a good record. Totally understand that. So that's why I'm trying to not be so negative on the Rockies so much. Like, yes, there is negative, but I just don't want to put so much on them where of enough. Just like there's no respect for the Rockies. I want to give some respect for the Rockies and stuff. Just nothing wrong about the Rockies or generally. It's just I just feel bad for them. I really do and stuff. So just according to that of what I'm trying to say is basically like. It doesn't really matter what team it is and stuff. We gotta perform the way we are and stuff. We're competing for a sport in a way to win games and stuff. It really doesn't matter. It's basically the team's fault is to lose and stuff. So fortunately for us, we don't want to lose on a bad team. We want to win and stuff, no matter what we can and get and stuff. So I would love to see what happened today for tomorrow and Game 3 as well. Fortunately for our goal is to sweep them and stuff. So if we can do that, that'd be great because we want to win. We want to keep going with the Dodgers and the Padres at this time and stuff. So we gotta compete and stuff. And pitching wise enough. Obviously Kelly did great and stuff, but obviously now bullpen, they're doing great and stuff. I understand we didn't really see them today and stuff. That's positive in a way enough for Kelly to keep going all the way to the ninth inning and stuff. But who knows? We might see again with Eduardo Rodriguez because he's going to pitch tomorrow and stuff. So who knows? He might go back to back. Going all the way to the ninth, and who knows enough if he will complete this one. We might go back to back complete. We honestly enough, we never know if that's gonna happen. But I'm feeling enough of Rodriguez just gonna go out there, perform the best he can, and stop and try to get a win. So that's the most positive to that right there and stuff. So yeah, hopefully of enough. But if we see bullpen, we're gonna see bullpen. So that's just what it is and stuff. I think that's pretty much on progress and stuff. MVP for today and stuff. I put Vargas as the MVP today on this podcast and stuff. I'm trying to look of how much wins he has. I think he has the most now. And I'm seeing enough. He has 4. It's crazy. He's just doing so well. The batting is just working for him and stuff. So keep hot, man. Like it's just like keep what you're doing and stuff. Like I get enough of. He has that huge streak of 27 hitting streak and stuff. I understand it's over, but keep what you're doing. He's the player of the week, he's player of the month. He wants to keep performing this way, and he got to keep doing it and stuff. And it's giving him a great story for him and stuff. So that's pretty much of that. I was going to maybe give it to Merrill Kelly because of how good performance he did as well. But a person going 4 for 4, that's pretty good. So that's pretty much of that. Of it. I will show you who else won MVPs at the time, and then I'll show you more of like who actually won it today and stuff. That's basically Vargas and stuff. So I'll show you that as well. I only showed that once, but I'll show it again today, and so that's pretty much of that. So yeah. So hopefully we win tomorrow and stuff, trying to win the series, maybe get the sweep as well. If we do win 3 games in a row against the Rockies and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much of that. Stay positive. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. Have a great day, and thank you for watching.